Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. In today's episode, we're entering the world of storytelling, and we're going to be breaking down a cheat code that was used by Walt Disney himself. There was a certain period in Walt's career when he was on top of the mountain. He was getting love from all over the places. And you know what they say, whenever you're getting too much love, that's when the haters start to come out of the woodworks. And it was no different for Walt Disney himself. Eventually, there were writers, reporters, journalists that were talking down on him. They were like, what does Walt Disney even do in his own company? He doesn't work on the cameras anymore. He doesn't write anymore. He doesn't even draw anymore. I mean, are we giving this guy way too much credit for no reason? People outside of Walt's company was talking down on him, but people within Walt's company viewed him as the king. The reason why was because Walt was the head storyteller. And without the story, the cameras don't serve a function. There's no drawings to draw. There's no writings to write. It's the story that is the king, and that's what made Walt seen as the king in his own company. And here's a live demonstration of how different Walt's mind worked from his employees' minds. There was this one report that said that Walt normally had to approve whether or not the cartoon went live or it needed to be worked more on. So he used to have these watch parties where he'd sit on his nice chair and he'd be watching Mickey Mouse with a whole bunch of other people. And there was this one story where I would say 10 to 15 minutes in, Walt stops the cartoon and he's like, wait, Mickey wouldn't say something like that. And the others thought, Mickey wouldn't say something like that. Mickey's just a cartoon, Walt. Mickey isn't real. And once again, Walt reiterated, Mickey wouldn't say something like that. But he didn't stop there. He got up and he was like, this is what Mickey would say instead. And suddenly, Walt started to change his personality, his voice, his mannerisms in order to demonstrate what Mickey would have said in that scenario. And people who were in that room said that they no longer saw Walt Disney anymore. They saw Mickey Mouse speaking through Walt Disney. See, this is the cheat code. The cheat code that Walt Disney followed in order to tell effortless stories was to identify how his character talked. This is so simple that it can easily be overlooked. But the reason that this simple question, how does the character talk, leads to so many profound answers is because think about yourself for a second. Didn't you ever wonder why you talk the way that you do? When you ask yourself this question, why do I talk the way that I do? Suddenly, you're going to become much more introspective. It's going to be much easier to go down memory lane, to go down your personal experiences, to evaluate your trials, your tribulations, and much more. By understanding how a certain entity talks, we start to understand this entity on a much deeper level. And by understanding this entity on a much deeper level, we start to create narratives that fit the context of the character. So what Walt was doing was he was reverse engineering, where all of his workers were immediately going for the narrative. Walt was asking the simple stuff like, how does this character talk? And then by understanding how the character talked, he understood the character, which allowed him to create the right narratives for this character. He worked backwards. So here's a storytelling exercise that you can try it for yourself. Challenge yourself to create an imaginary character. Now, before you start to create all these different conflicts and drama for this character, pause. Then ask yourself how this character talks. Are they formal? Are they informal? Do they joke a lot? Are they bipolar? Get as detailed as you can on how they talk. And once you do that, you'll start to fire off more ideas in your mind on, whoa, I feel like I know this character very well. And since I know this character very well, I could see this character getting into this sort of drama. And now the story is going to unfold from there. But don't worry how the story is going to unfold yet. Just ask yourself the simple question, how does this character talk? And from there, magic is going to be unlocked. If you want more practical insights like this on storytelling, be sure to check out my book, The Art and Science of Storytelling, which is currently available on Amazon. This book breaks down the theory of storytelling. It talks about how to create compelling drama. It talks about how to create lessons that lead to perceptual changes in those who consume your stories, and much more. The Art and Science of Storytelling is on Amazon, and I'm going to drop the link for the book in the description box and in the pinned comment right on below. Level up your storytelling skills. Thank you very much for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you next time.